19 strong viewers watching, 47 thumbs up. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, whip up on that notification bell to help us beat up on that YouTube algorithm and get our podcast in front of as many eyes and ears as possible. Do it for the C3 Panther podcast. We know you guys appreciate your therapy sessions that you're in so desperate need of after Panthers games sometimes. So hit that like and also consider hitting that join button like my man Panther Pickle has done. For $1.99 a month, you get custom badges, custom emojis. We're going to be doing more giveaways for all of our wonderful subscribers. So we appreciate y'all.
Um, this is interesting. I wonder, can well, I mean, obviously stats can be misleading. And I think that, look, I'm not trying to contradict anybody. Like, are they a good running team? I mean, rush defense, are they bad? But like, what's the context to some of it, right? One of the things I think that is look, is just listen to their schedule right now and think of the team's identities, where they were at that moment, and how teams um, would likely line up and match up against them. They played the Jets week 1. The Jets scored 9 points, 24-9. The Jets were able, though, let's see how many rushing yards they had. Joe Flacco started there. They only had 83 yards rushing, it looks like. But when you're behind, let me see if this is. Flacco threw the ball 59 times in that game.
Is that the one
Wow.
against the Panthers you said?
No, this is September 11th, the Ravens versus Jets, week 1. Flacco threw the ball 50. Like, so how do you rush the ball well when you're behind and you throw the ball 59 times? Right? Next on the docket, they then have the Dolphins. The Dolphins looks like they rushed the ball a total of, stats. Hold on. The Dolphins threw the ball 50 times in that game. They threw the ball 50 times. Mostert carried 11 for 51. Chase Edmonds 5 for 33. Every ball carrier averaged over 4.6 yards a carry. It's just Tyreek Hill had 190 yards and 2 touchdowns. Jalen Waddle had 171
Dude,
yards.
they're balling so hard
Right.
this
They're the
year,
best team in
man.
the NFL. Look at
One
this.
of.
So next they play the Patriots. Now the Patriots, this is kind of maybe, look, the Patriots, Mac Jones goes 22 for 32. He had 321 yards. They have their defense hasn't been great. It looks like they put up a total of 145 yards, the Patriots, on the ground against them. 450 yards. Looks like, though, here's the problem or not the problem, but I guess what makes it difficult when it comes to the run game. The Ravens got out to a lead in that game, it looks like, and so are you running are you able to establish the run? So we go back to this is the next week they have, we get the Bills. The Bills don't run Josh Allen was 19 for 36 against them. It looks like the stats are saying 125 yards on the ground from the Bills, but the Ravens rushed for 162, right? So I don't know. The Bills aren't like a great rushing team other
Even the
than
Ravens.
Josh Allen. The
Oh, yeah, Bills.
the Bengals. All right, so next up, the Bengals, who have been a bad rushing team except for the Carolina Panthers, rushed for 100 yards against them. Not much. I mean, not like the best. And it looks like Joe Burrow threw the ball 35 times. They have 17, 20, 21 carries for 101 yards. Not terrible. And then look, here is the thing. As I think this is where you kind of learn a little bit about them. The Giants were able to rush the ball, not a ton, only 83 yards. That was a good one against them.
Saquon's number 1 in rushing yards this
Right.
year.
But again, the Ravens have been playing with leads all year.
Yeah.
Now we go to the Browns. This one probably is the tail. is the Browns had 113 yards, and that's a team that rushes on everybody. So, again, you know what? Is they might not, it's not like they're shut down, but they always play from ahead, it looks like, and they rush the ball a lot. The Ravens are super effective on the ground. And then last, I want to say this was one that was, they shut down the Saints, again, playing from ahead. So that's, you know what, is that this is what the scary part is not only do we need to rush the ball, but they play from ahead and aren't very porous against the run. We can't play from behind.
No,
Like,
I
we
mean,
don't
not,
have that luxury. We just
no.
don't have that luxury.
And that's why no matter what the stats say, the game plan is the same. Run the football with Deontay Foreman, ball control, keep Lamar Jackson off the field. And, I mean, that's really going to be your path to victory this Sunday against the Ravens.
The Ravens have lost. Listen to this, though, before you get the Ravens lost to the Giants 24-20. They lost to the Bills 23-20. They lost to the Dolphins in a shootout. That's the only one. The Browns played them tough, 23-20. And the Bucks 27-22. We got to keep this. We got to keep this a low-scoring game, like you're saying. We just need to grind this out, and hopefully you're at the end, and maybe you can find some magic at the end.
Hopefully, man. But you know what? We found some magic here today because an old friend has become a new member. Talk to us, CK.
Kieran Choi has decided to join the C3 Superfans, a long-term loyal listener of the C3 podcast. Thank you so much for joining the C3 Superfan Club, supporting the C3 Panthers podcast. Welcome to the club.
Yeah. And look, man, I mean, this is what we're doing. We're rushing the YouTube algorithm, putting up yards on them, just like the Panthers are going to have to do this Sunday, man. And, I think Tony kind of alluded to it, like Deontay Foreman. Like, that is our offense. I mean, Deontay Foreman has been our offense I feel like more than Christian McCaffrey almost ever has. In a few games, like,
why do you think that
this
is?
guy has become, I mean, but he does everything. I mean, the fact that he's rushing for touchdowns, fighting for yards, he's been dependable. And then another thing is, I believe our offensive line is built to be downhill, and we have a better offensive line than we've had in the past. So all of these things coalescing together, it just equals a very dangerous rushing attack when you add Foreman to this really powerful offensive line.
Could it be perhaps that Deontay Foreman is a better rusher of the football than Christian McCaffrey was? Christian McCaffrey may be a better player overall.
No,
everything he can do, but maybe Deontay Foreman is a better rusher of the football.
Oh my God!
I mean,
stop,
I think that's possible.
No.
That doesn't mean he's a better player. But I mean, look at what he's done with the same line. Have we ever seen Christian McCaffrey do back to back? Well, it wasn't back to back, but I'm just saying,
the stupidest thing I ever heard.
Look, man,
you can argue that he is the best all-around back, but you cannot argue that Christian McCaffrey is the best running back in the right now.
Out of the two, yeah, put up a poll. I tell you this, and anybody that votes for Foreman is a fool.
Who's the better rusher? Not the better back, the better rusher.
Man, it's a tale of two different teams. That's the thing here is that first you're looking at Deontay Foreman, who has played well against three teams: the Falcons twice, and the Bucks once. The Bucks have been injured; they haven't been good on defense. The Falcons have not been good. Period. I know that they say that they were good against the rush, but the other thing is that Deontay Foreman or Dante Foreman, Deontay, I think Dante. I don't even know how to pronounce it. Whatever. Foreman has been running behind a different line, guys.
No.
Coached by a different coach. Yes, is that Bradley Bozeman was not the center of this team.
Sure.
It was Pat Elflein while Christian McCaffrey was here. And we were also passing the ball a lot in those first couple of weeks. We would come out. I mean, remember that Browns game, the very first week? We came out and threw the ball 3 times in a row. And you would put kind of we would give up on the run. We got from playing from behind. I don't think anywhere in any realm is he a better rusher of the football. Christian McCaffrey was far underrated as an effective rusher between the tackles. Once you got rid of Matt Fool and you got Bradley Bozeman in there, this run game started cooking. I mean, Dante Foreman had 32 carries. When was the last time you saw one guy have 30-something carries? We're running this dude into the ground against teams that can't stop anything.
Can I throw out an option here for you to think about, Tony? Would you agree that he went to a much better offensive line and a much better offensive-minded coach in San Francisco?
I don't know necessarily if I would say hands down a better offensive line. I think they've been dealing with some injuries on there. I'm not 100% sure. And I know that I've seen some guys get worked on their offensive line, but sure. I would say definitely hands down on a better coach.
Okay. So the reason I bring that up is if you look and you compare stats since Christian McCaffrey has been on that team compared to him, and I'm not going to use that first week. I think we shouldn't use that first week of him going to the 49ers. But if you take a look at the stats and you compare them, even if you compare the average rushing per attempt that Christian McCaffrey had on this team prior to the trade, it is night and day. Like, it's not even close, Tony. Like, and I know you're going to use that reasoning, but the problem is that reasoning is trying to take into it, like, basically make an excuse for a guy who is a running back, right? If you take away his production as far as a running back / receiver, he wouldn't be a 3rd round pick if he couldn't catch the ball.
Is it fair to say this? Christian McCaffrey is a much more well-rounded running back. But
that's what I meant, yeah.
If you're just going between the A gaps and the B gaps, Dante Foreman is just a bigger, more powerful guy. So I do think that he is better between the tackles, even though McCaffrey is a more versatile football player.
I think McCaffrey has proved that he can run between the tackles. I think that's just the kind of question marks we had with him coming into the league. And I think he far superseded that. I think that this team is playing so much differently under Steve Wilks. But here, it's not like Foreman did anything against the Bengals. Right? Is that like he has had
no one did.
Right. I understand that. What I'm saying is he has gotten his stats have been inflated by the Falcons twice.
Okay.
By the Falcons. And Christian McCaffrey, let's not act like a guy who's gone to a new team into a new system is like, first they're trying to they've already had a bye week, right? So it's not like he's played the same amount of games even. Second, they're trying to bring him in a way to where it's not ridiculous. And third, he had one of the most incredible games in the history of football there where he threw a pass, caught up, of all things, rushed the foot. He's also, check out how many rushing touchdowns. He's had a rushing touchdown in every game, I think.
He had a 2-yard rushing touchdown last week. But
yep, he had one the week before. He had one his first week.
Tony, you're literally doing the exact argument that we're talking about, though, right? You said that he had one of the best all-around games. We're not arguing that. The argument is that he isn't if you're comparing Dante Foreman to Christian McCaffrey as a running back running between the tackles, Dante Foreman has proven with a very similar line. You can say Bozeman is the difference maker here. You sure can. But at the end of the day, we weren't looking bad under Elfline either. And so as far as that, I just don't think, I think you're making that argument for us. When you're talking about him being a receiver, Dante Foreman is not going to be able to compare to him.
But also the 49ers just recently have tried to run CMC between the tackles. And again, it's not that he can't, but that's not necessarily his specialty. And it even showed with the 49ers as well. There was a bunch of goal line stops that they had on short yardage situations. And I think that's my point. When you're 208 pounds, you might be the most athletic 208-pound running back in the world, but there's only so much that you're going to be able to do when you just don't have that pure physical strength. It's like a really strong middleweight fighting a really strong heavyweight. The heavyweight is always going to have the bigger, power advantage. And Foreman is much more of a heavyweight type of runner than Christian McCaffrey.
And look, by me saying this too, I'm not saying either that Christian McCaffrey hasn't proven that he can run between the tackles, because I do believe he can. He's an above average running back on all levels. But I think that on that particular level, as far as running between the tackles, maybe Foreman's a better runner between the tackles.
I think this is where you guys are getting lost in this conversation. Is number one is that if we had to pick a running back tomorrow, and we said that we cannot let him catch the ball at all, like he can only run the ball, I'm still taking Christian McCaffrey.
Not.
All right. Second, I think really what the story is not about is Deontay Foreman a better runner or rusher of the ball. I think what's been incredible is just how the rushing game didn't fall off in the absence of Christian McCaffrey. So I don't think we necessarily have to try to figure out, like, make this comparison as much as it's really impressive that the Panthers got rid of their best player and their offense didn't fall off. In fact, it's improved. And that leads me to another person I want to bring up who has had the most target. I think he had the most targets on the team last week, and that's Terrace Marshall Jr. Finally, this guy is being integrated into this offense. So, I don't know. I think Foreman's a good player. I like him. I'm actually more interested in not even comparing him with Christian McCaffrey, but asking this: why the hell weren't we using him when Christian McCaffrey was here instead of the Chuba Hubbard? And I'm telling you, is that a lot of this is kind of hard to gauge, even with Christian McCaffrey, anybody under the shadow or the smog and the fog of Matt Rule. And I hate to say it, is because it's weird to me. I truly just don't understand how he could be that detrimental to the offense when he's not a play caller. But Terrace Marshall Jr., a bum under Matt Rule. DJ Moore, a bum under Matt Rule. Deontay Foreman didn't even play. Why? What the heck is going on? And now, look, Terrace Marshall Jr., how is he going to get better unless you actually give him an opportunity? And he has really, I think, done pretty well.
Yeah, and by the way, the last little word on CMC, if you watch the 49er games, he is already the face of their football team. Like, whenever they advertise the game, it's a picture of Christian McCaffrey. It's a whole thing now. But look, I remember being very excited about Terrace Marshall Jr. and then him being a no-show, and then everybody wanted to come to me like, oh, so much for Terrace Marshall, huh? But, well, yeah, how are you ever going to look good if you never get an opportunity to prove yourself? So, again, and by the way, he's still getting better. Like, we haven't seen the best out of him. He dealt with some injuries, but now he's back and he's making he's making a push now that we need him the most. And I'm glad, man, because the same thing that I've always said is still true for him. The Panthers need a fast, big-bodied wide receiver to be able to get downfield and go up and make plays. And there's no reason why Terrace Marshall Jr. can't be just that for us. Again, going back to that season at LSU, when he was also with Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase, he was an integral part of that LSU offense. I mean, he was a big deal in that offense. So we know that he's a big-time playmaker. Now it's just about finding more and more ways to get him involved more and more. And if you notice, they were trying to find ways to get him the ball in the red zone. Like, those jump up and go and get the ball type passes. I'm really hopeful for his future. And I'm happy that this man's balling out and we're not talking about trading him or some dumb shit like that.